The Netflix original Haters Back Off is a short-lived comedy series featuring Miranda Sings, the fictional character created in 2008 by Colleen Ballinger, one of the original YouTube celebrities from the 2000s who apparently rose to global fame so fast that they just didn't have time to learn about personal boundaries or how to interact with underage fans or what racism is. I gotta say though, that's like a really long list of things to just ignore simply because the internet is rewarding you for being an early adopter of iMovie. Yes, they got to skip having a day job or working in an office during their 20s, but is it really that much of a blessing if some of those YouTubers could have probably used an embarrassing HR meeting to learn things like how to interact with adults your own age, how to resolve conflicts with maturity, and when to let go of the sense of humor they had in high school because it's built on a foundation of white privilege, prejudice, and penis jokes. Unfortunately for Colleen, like many other influencers, early internet notoriety means that she has to learn these lessons from thousands of other people who are freely able to scrutinize her past book deals, private messages, and Facebook posts to hold her accountable. And it's all happening on a very public platform. Today, I'll touch on all of those topics while also focusing in on Colleen's first and more timely cancellation, that of her not great Netflix show, and all of the not very likable characters who live inside of it. Haters Back Off also provides plenty of glimpses into some of the same issues Colleen is currently being called out for. Minors being subjected to mature themes, a shock-based sense of humor that doesn't hold up, and how Colleen reached new heights of success while discarding the exploited people behind the scenes who helped prop her up. And don't even get me started on the penis jokes. If something on Netflix is going to leave me beaten to death by then it better not be rated PG. That's a waste of my life. Get ready for some slathered in lipstick life lessons that follow the loosest definition of comedy in a Haters Back On installment of Clip Breakdown. Hello television viewers, my name is Nick. Thank you so much for joining me once again on my channel for another installment of Clip Breakdown. This is the playlist where we dive into our favorite movies, TV movies, and other such content here on the web, and we smack it into pieces and break it down into tiny little clips when they're on the ground, so that we can look at each individual piece and parcel and say, that's a hater's good or that's a hater's bad type of thing. I don't know what the fucking haters thing is with Miranda Sings. If you were watching YouTube in like the early or late 2000s, I guess, then you saw this person who like sings poorly, has high-waisted sweatpants, and like smeared on lipstick, and that was enough to be like a millionaire in 2008. I'm sorry to say it. I never watched Miranda Sings content back when it was in its heyday, which I guess was up until like very recently. I know that, for example, Adam Macintyre, who brought this main issue to the internet 2 or so years ago, initially, had his final interactions with Colleen Ballinger, who plays Miranda Sings, in like 2016, 2017, I believe. And to be sure, Colleen is still on tour this very day. Like just today I saw on Twitter, she's finishing up her tour. The tickets are being sold for $3 due to a lot of what we're discussing here. However, it doesn't change the fact that she's still very much making a living off of this character. But before we get into it, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. That way you never miss new videos from me. I upload 2 new ones every week. Turn on notifications. That way you'll always be the first to know. Also merch, also Patreon. Similar like with Shane Dawson or even James Charles, a lot of these very famous YouTubers from the earlier days of the platform, there was no conversation around how to be responsible with the power dynamic that an influencer might have over their fans. So if you're talking to younger people, first of all, don't. I'm 32 and I would never spend more than like 3 seconds talking to somebody who's underage online. Like people who are underage have said crazy things to me in my DMs and I just ignore it because I've been a 16-year-old too and I would say crazy things to people too. I mean, if they say like, I love your work, I'm like, thank you so much. But I'm not gonna like flirt with a child, obviously. Unfortunately, Miranda, no, her name's Colleen. Colleen didn't always have that filter. She would have, as Adam Macintyre says in his video, which you should definitely check out, Colleen had these group chats where she was like asking very inappropriate things to people that she knew to be 12, 13 to 16, you know, like way too young for you to be talking about menstruation or body parts or sexuality. Like just, it's weird. And it was weird in 2019. 2019 when this was all happening. So also during her live shows, a lot of former audience members have said, oh, she pulled me up on stage and humiliated me. I was traumatized. See video of her just like making people seem so uncomfortable or being really questionable in terms of like the vulgarity that she would expose children to. Again, Adam Macintyre, a person who I've been watching on YouTube since well before you might have even seen my first video. He's doing a great job at like exposing his side of the story and how it affected him. And it's become very much a mainstream news story thanks to Adam. So check out those videos. I'm here to talk about Haters Back Off and all of the problematic parts that are visible within it, because it's the same kind of stuff that Colleen is getting called out for by her fans or previous fans. The fact that this show was rated PG by Netflix is bewildering to me, almost as bewildering as the tone itself and the inappropriate jokes. Like, I still don't get it. This week when I was watching it, I would drive home from the grocery store and like be in my parking spot at home and find myself still sitting in my car a half hour later thinking about the show and being mad that it exists. It stinks. Thankfully, that extra half hour in my car doesn't stink, thanks to the sponsor of today's video, Drift. Drift is my new favorite brand when it comes to keeping my car smelling fresh. The reason I came across Drift is because it's the new sister company of Scentbird, a longtime sponsor of this channel. I don't know if you've used any of those artificial smelling air fresheners that hang from your rearview mirror, but to me, those fragrances are too cloying and it's not really good for the environment. Drift creates air care products for your car and your home out of all sustainable materials. And then the scents themselves are all made with essential oils and fragrance oil. So the fragrance you get is actually very expensive smelling. Their car products are sold for around $9 for the metal and wood like this, or around $14 for the stone. What's especially awesome about the car fresheners from Drift is that you can get them on a subscription. The starter kit comes with the metal clip and the scent, and then you can get monthly refills thereafter, but they don't have to just send you the same fragrance every month. You don't have to put up with nose blindness. That's why the Scent of the Month program at Drift is so exciting to me. That's Drift's way of sending you a new limited edition scent. These scents are inspired by the seasons. This fragrance that I have this month is teak, which has teak and cedar notes, but also pepper, which I can get that spiciness. It really reminds me of like air drying clothes on the line or going to the beach. And with the subscription, it's very flexible. You can change the scent, the frequency of delivery, or cancel your subscription anytime you like. Make sure to use my code NICK55 to get 55% off at Drift for your first month. Thanks again, Drift. I love the way you smell, baby. The background is Miranda Sings is like a character who's like super self-confident, even though she apparently lacks natural talent and was one of those people who wanted to be famous for singing covers on YouTube a cappella back in 2009 or so.
Hey guys, it's me, Miranda. I thought I'd post this video to YouTube to show everyone how good I am, so that's what I'm doing. So anyways, I'm gonna sing a song for you guys now, and I hope you like it.
Well, I hope a wild coyote crashes through my window and eats my Wi-Fi router so I don't have to watch this anymore. That's how much I already know I'm not going to like it. Everything I'm seeing on screen is awful, and that's just my feedback for the hair and makeup department. I mean, I get that the clown lipstick is intentionally grotesque, but something tells me those eyebrows are actually the best that Colleen Ballinger can do without a makeup artist. And then no blush, how fun. Once we bring in professional cameras and lighting, I think a little more color would have helped Miranda look more like a teenager and less like a dead body. Again, I know the character Miranda Sings is supposed to look unkempt and a little strange, but as an awkward teenager, right? Not the mean fiancé from Connecticut in a romantic comedy, not a pirate wench with scurvy, right? Yet here we are. Just marching across the lifelessly beige fields of almost 40-year-old flesh on her face. And I'm not age shaming, but this show was shot on high-end professional cameras. Those take in a lot more color information than consumer cameras like her YouTube videos are probably shot on. I think they could have used a few more camera tests to help translate Colleen's character to the big screen. Online, she has more smeared lipstick. This all has like a more professional polished feel in that she's wearing lip liner, but it's not really like giving in terms of dimension on the face. I just want her to look more like the Miranda Sings of the internet and less like the Witch of the Woods. So as Miranda does in most of her YouTube videos, she begins by singing a song that is supposed to be comedically off tune, even though for me, I hear Colleen's actual voice coming in and out of her dialogue all the time, and you see that she's a professionally trained singer. I believe she was a musical theater student when Miranda Sings was invented. You can hear the quality of her singing pretty much throughout the whole thing. It's like you can tell that she's intentionally singing bad.
It comes that much too high. I soon her back defying gravity.
And this is her whole shtick. Not to sound British, but she's not being funny. If I wanted to hear some lady intentionally sing badly, I would just watch any live performance of J-Lo. Wait, she's trying to sound good there? Whew. I've never related so much to Ben Affleck's alcoholism.
I'd always dream. That sounded so fucking crazy.
Jennifer, sweetheart, I'm so sorry. I promise I loved your acting in... I thought Made in Manhattan was cute. Watchable, at least. My point is, if Colleen posted her first Miranda Sings video on YouTube today, rather than the Wild West YouTube of 2008, it's hard to believe that video would have achieved the same level of viral fame. So I'm not sure why Netflix thought that character was a good bet to extrapolate into a whole series in today's day and age of 2016 when this was made. Especially since a lot of it just seems to recreate Miranda Sings moments that live in her fans' memories, like what we just saw, which is very reminiscent of Miranda's first video. This was before Colleen added in the affected accent or the red lipstick. She was a lot more subdued here.
Hey guys, my name's Miranda. Everyone tells me like, oh, you're so good, you should make YouTube, so that's what I'm doing. With every Christmas card I write.
I would have maybe laughed at that at age 17, partially because I would have believed that this was an actual girl who thought very highly of her mediocre singing. But 17-year-old me was both naive and tacky. You know what else 17-year-old Nick thought was amusing? Having sex in a parking garage without bringing my own beach towel to prevent motor oil stains from getting on my jeans from American Eagle. If only I could go back in time and talk to that younger version of myself, I would say, here's a beach towel, you Craigslist hound. Also, here's a box of chamomile tea because this guy's gonna spit in your mouth and give you the worst strep throat of your life. Oh, to be young again, I wouldn't recommend it. By the way, I watched some of Miranda Sings' video to prepare for this one by like checking out her latest stuff. It hasn't gotten better. It might have gotten worse. And people are telling her that. This was 2 weeks ago before her cancellation officially began.
Miranda's not funny anymore. Who said I was trying to be funny? Did I say this was a comedy show? Did I say, oh my gosh, there's a spider on the lens. What the heck? Look at that little freaking spider, just dingly dingles.
Hilarious for people of all ages. It's like watching Lunette from The Big Comfy Couch if she got mercury poisoning somewhere along the way. It must be nice to just sit on camera for 20 minutes and improvise unfunny responses to comments about how you're unfunny. Much like Shane Dawson, Miranda Sings seems to be one of those controversial creators that are basically children's entertainers that are mostly known for making jokes that would be way too inappropriate for children, and then somehow get away with acting equally as childish all the way into adulthood. Meanwhile, I'm putting in time and effort into my videos. I'm trying to appeal to an intelligent adult audience. I'm getting f***ed in a parking garage on a rocket-powered beach towel later. The only thing that helps me feel connected to my teenage years. I mean, I guess I could also wash my face with St. Ives walnut scrub, but I mean, I'm not reckless with my personal safety. I'll stick to the parking garage. F***ings. Who says f***ings? Anyway, I guess until a few weeks ago, Colleen could just smear on that red lipstick and Sharpie on her eyebrows to bullshit on camera, and that has allowed her to enjoy, only 112,000 views. That does make me feel a little better. It's official. Tonight's outdoor towel will be celebratory in nature rather than self-loathing. I don't care about someone intentionally singing bad. The only early 2000s clip of bad singing that I will accept as funny is the Undisputed Champion, the video known as Bad Crack. So Miranda finishes singing Defying Gravity. We go to this title sequence where there's all of this fan art of her that really reads to me like composite sketches from some of her victims, but Who's to say? And her uncle Jim is the one who's behind the camera. He's like, this is gonna make you famous. Let's upload this to YouTube because you're gonna be a singer who gets on to acting and then in movies and then a magician. He has a whole plan for her life. Miranda clearly is motivated by fame. Anyway, I'm done with this. I'm going on strike like the Writers Guild of America. Not really. I wish there was a union for whatever this job is, but it is actually good news that the WGA has been on strike since May 2nd of 2023 for the first time in 15 years. When this happened 15 years ago, certain shows ended abruptly or just had really bad episodes or seasons got canceled. But frankly, it's important because strikes are actually the best way that workforces can force conversations with their management and create meaningful change. In 2007, the Writers Guild strike was really helpful in allowing TV writers to secure participation in digital sales of their shows, which obviously came in handy because streaming took off right after, and it's a similar kind of update that they're looking for now, including an increase in minimum compensation as well as residuals for streaming, which is something they lost once your show stopped being syndicated on TV networks. You don't get a check in the mail anymore. With the WGA going on strike, many other unions are likely to follow, and most unions are kind of in solidarity to support each other in their strikes. It's really a crucial tool in helping workers get the rights they deserve, usually through a process of collective bargaining. One individual employee has very little bargaining power when it comes to like talking to their management, but you get everybody together and suddenly you get to make some changes happen. Throughout the 20th century, people have had strikes for better pay, better working conditions, better contracts, more security. Collective bargaining helps even the playing field. So I suggest we all support strikes as they happen and become familiar with the issues behind the strike so that we can all feel empowered to come to work every day and get what we need. Teachers have gone on strike. Nurses, importantly, have gone on strike several times. What are some other strikes you know about? Have you ever participated in one? And what did your sign say? So while the video is uploading, she goes outside. She has this like love interest who is selling ice cream pops out of the back of his bicycle. A very Napoleon Dynamite type of feel where it's like a little offbeat, a little Midwest America, but also just like gross and uncomfortable.
It's real good.
As a mom, I'm thankful that Netflix has transparent rating systems and parental controls that help me quickly find content that's safe to watch with my children who are too stupid to understand sexual innuendo and always will be. Now we can enjoy classic movies and shows like Haters Back Off, rated PG, while the little ones are laughing at Miranda Sings and her disgusting mucusy gag reflex. I can laugh right along with them at this thinly veiled pornographic act being referenced by a teenage character. Thanks Netflix for reminding me about oral sex while I'm sitting on the sofa with several preteens. You go Miranda, you suck that ice cream d***. That was the main criticism I read on all of the reviews of Haters Back Off is like, this is for kids. If you are only letting your kids watch PG and under content on Netflix, they could have found this. And like most parents were like, I watched 5 minutes of the first episode and I was like, turn this off, go to jail and hell and also die. It just kind of speaks to the confused tone of Haters Back Off where it's clearly trying to hit the kids who grew up watching Miranda Sings, like Adam Macintyre, for instance, who was watching since he was 12 or 13, but was 16 or 17 by the time he was being exploited by Colleen Ballinger for social media assistance, and then would later be blamed by her for a joke that she approved of that didn't go over well, and is now in his 20s. He's, you know, an adult. So they want to like appeal to the nostalgic kids who watched Miranda Sings on YouTube, while also just appealing to young kids who actually are in that demographic she kind of still does appeal to. She has kids on her channel as recently as this month. And if you were not sure about their intentions of the target audience, let this be the proof.
Hey, what is this? It still has the plastic on it. You just have to poke it with a fork. Is that so hard? Ah, the steam shot out. It almost burned me. Thanks a lot, Mom.
Shut the up, sweetie, and eat your melted plastic product placement. It's the only definite way to make sure that this show is profitable, even if it's canceled after one episode, okay? Thanks to Lunchable's breakfast, Haters Back Off could be the next Seinfeld, or we could all die in a studio fire today, and our paychecks will still be exactly the same. This is just another example of the super seamless advertising that Netflix likes to cram into its tween targeted content. 9 to 12-year-olds may not have any money of their own yet, but they are at that magic age where they're they're just old enough to start becoming lifelong brand loyalists, yet they're still young enough to create an embarrassing spectacle of themselves right there in Walmart if their parents refuse to buy them the trendiest, hyper-processed middle school snack. Young audiences can't really tell what clumsy writing sounds like. So, as you just saw, Netflix is free to introduce advertisers in the most conspicuous manner possible. It's a craft I feel like we saw them master during my clip breakdown of He's All That, starring Addison Rae.
Lucky Charms used to cheer you up when you were 8. Wow. And the marshmallows. I forgot about the marshmallows.
If that dialogue felt forced, it's because it is. I heard the writers don't even know what product they're supposed to write into the scene until the day of production. They'll just get to set one morning and a representative from General Mills will hand them a box of fruit roll-ups and then threaten to kill one American produce farmer for every 15 minutes it takes them to figure out a way to have Wednesday Addams say that the blue raspberry ones are her favorite. You're the red, white, and blue, the funny things you do, America, America, this is you. I'm Miranda Sings. I just Miranda sang. Anyway, this show is below the pay grade of everyone in it. You got Angela from The Office there, who clearly didn't know how to read the heating instructions for a Lunchables breakfast. You definitely don't microwave it in the plastic packet.
All right.
Oh, the cream shot out of my package. Sorry.
Oh, that's all right. It landed on my buns. I like them extra sticky.
Well, if you squeeze harder, more will come out.
Good idea.
Oh, I get it. It's as though the creepy uncle is that young girl he's related to. Wait, did you hear that? I just understood a sexual innuendo. It looks like I have mentally progressed past 11 years old, even though that's the age at which my camp counselor tried to drown me. No hard feelings though. I was deeply possessed by the Antichrist at the time, which, as you can imagine, manifested as me making some pretty bitchy comments about her tie-dye skills over there at the craft table. Like, I did not have to bring her dead mother's infidelity into the conversation, but I did, and that's on me. I would have also drowned myself.
But you can't drown what you can't kill.
So. Okay, Miranda has this sister named Emily, I want to say. Francesca Real plays her. I like Emily. I feel like she's kind of the underrated main character of the whole movie show. But also, you know, there are moments where I'm like, yeah, this is her first acting role. I can see that. It's okay though. She's my least unlikable character on the list. But back to this who wants to her uncle. Ugh. I don't know why Miranda Sings, apparently throughout her time on YouTube as a character, has had a very disturbing relationship with her mother and with her uncle, who are never seen on camera until now. But like, this whole thing of I don't think that's great fodder for comedy that you're throwing around with some sticky buns from Oscar Mayer. Like, that seems like you're mixing audiences up a little bit. And Colleen, you can just tell she thinks she's being so funny when she's like, I love when my buns are a little sticky. Like, what the is this, high school day one? Anyway, after a few hours of very few views on her new singing video on YouTube, which by the way is all designed to look like 2008 YouTube. It's supposed to be very semi-autobiographical of Colleen's own rise to fame as Miranda Sings. Anyway, she gets like a comment being like, keep trying, and she mistakes that for fan mail, and she's talking about how she has to reply to all of her fans.
You want to know the secret to a successful viral video? You don't stop until you've transmitted that virus to every single one of your fans.
Sounds fun.
Are you just talking about exposing them to the toxic and abusive power dynamics, or are you also planning a biological attack on those 10-year-olds who purchase your t-shirts? You hear that, kids? Miranda Sings wants to make you sick, so make sure you expose your open wounds when you visit her on tour. And if you can't come to see Miranda Sings live, that's because you're a fake fan. But you can still make sure to log into her exclusive 15 and under group chat and be ready to interact with Miranda as she asks you questions about your favorite alcohol or sex positions. These are really the kinds of things that Miranda would ask in her group chat. She would be like, oh, who has their period today? What did you think when you first got your period? It's like, don't ask a child that. She would talk to Adam and others about, you know, like losing their virginity. It's like, you are 30 when you did this. That is I'm again 32 and I don't even want to think about 15 or 14-year-olds. Like, I don't even want to know that they exist. I hate kids. If you're gonna be on the internet as an adult, you have to hate children. That's my new rule. Although not the children who are watching this. Just don't try to talk to me and expect a response, but I appreciate the clicks on the ads and things like that. Like, let's just meet halfway. Ew, that laugh that I just did. So Miranda is officially over the moon over her rise to fame after she gets like 50 or so views on YouTube. And she shows up at Emily's school. Miranda, who is also a teenager, despite the jowliness, she's like homeschooled, but Emily goes to a normal school. And she's like very protective of not being embarrassed by her sister, who I take to be some sort of developmentally delayed person. And in fact, that first video we saw of Miranda Sings was meant as an inside joke to her friends, from what I read, where Colleen was trying to make fun of these self-important singers that she saw at theater school. But also the current Miranda is like sort of based on a disabled cousin that she has, which is to me just like not cool. I feel like the voice is kind of mocking what some people who are deaf or hard of hearing sound like. So it's, to me, has very problematic roots that a lot of people and corporations like Netflix just don't want to get into. But Emily is embarrassed by Miranda. She's like, get out of here. And she tells her mom, who works at a grocery store and also seems to be suffering Munchausen's, faking carpal tunnel or fibromyalgia. She tells her, like, you have to tell Miranda she has no talent and like get her to stop embarrassing me. That's when Miranda goes off because she gets her first rude comment.
You suck. Don't make any more videos. What? What's that supposed to mean?
I think he thinks that you should stop making videos and that you suck.
That person said how we all feel, you garbage lipstick monster. Now, that really shows off the fresh, groundbreaking comedy stylings of Colleen Ballinger. Colleen Ballinger, the girl with the lips. I haven't heard such a classic setup and original unexpected punchline since I watched any single episode of a sitcom starring George Lopez. Brava, Colleen. I somehow don't have a trophy from the Writers Guild or a medal from the Nobel Peace Prize to thank you for this literary excellence. So please, will you accept the majority of my blood? Here, I'm just gonna fill a few gallon freezer bags with 2 to 3 portions of blood from me, and then I'm gonna send them to you in the mail while they're still warm. I'm begging you, take the bags of blood after I fill them, Colleen. Please let it become the lipstick that you smear on your face to play Miranda. It would be my honor. Just, you know, be careful when applying it around the mouth, because I'm 90% sure I have chlamydia this week. Actually, no, we have chlamydia this week. And that's because this blood is your blood. This blood is my blood. Cause you're so funny. And that's a fact, bud. Is it okay if I call you Blood Colleen? Will you drink my bud blood? This show sucks. Miranda freaks out because she starts getting hate comments. I don't care. And she takes one of them to be a death threat from a stalker. We get another joke where she's like shoving these cocktail weenies into her mouth. Again, referencing oral sex to children. We love to see it. Do we though? No, we go to jail for that. But despite this perceived threat of a death stalkery, killery, murdery person, Colleen follows Jim along with his plan to be on television, then in a movie, then do like world fame, whatever. So Jim wants to do a commercial for the pet store that he works at, even though while they're there, they're like, I told you you couldn't do this here. And he's like, we have to, you'll love the commercial. This sucks so bad. I guess the pet store, this store is near where Miranda's mom works at the grocery store. Emily gets a call. She's supposed to bring her mom her new wrist brace because she uses it to flirt with the delivery guy that she likes. Because again, Munchausen. That's when the love interest and nobody cares. He looks like Joe Jonas, but worse somehow. He's like, comes by and he's like, uh-oh, we have an issue.
What's wrong with the fish?
What?
I think the lights heat out of water, yeah. They're dead.
Oh, Jesus. They're all dead.
So? They'll be easier to take care of.
I'm sorry, what's happening now with the pet store? Are they having the Miranda girl euthanized? No? Spayed? No? Well then what the are we doing here? The storyline of this episode is like a stress dream within a psychotic episode. Jim said Miranda needs to star in a commercial, and suddenly they're making a fake commercial at a fish store that he works at, but now the fish store guy is going to get in trouble when the fish store's dad finds out that the fish have died, which I guess puts Jim's job at risk, but then at the end it actually doesn't matter any of that. Okay, none of this is making me want to sit through an entire season of this show. Not even this whole episode. At this point I'm like, can we hear from those fish about the mass death option? I just feel like there's an elegant solution in there somewhere. Does anybody have access to a poisonous algae bloom? Let me know in the comments below so we can see if we can get out of here. So they're trying to work with dead fish in the commercial, and then Miranda sees some guy who she assumes for unknown reasons is her hater online who made the death threat. So she's about to like sword chop him with the security guard's sword. This show's so fucking weird. It's like Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide, but made for adults but also for kids. So kind of made for simple adults but also for kids. It deserves dirt, the ground. You deserve the ground. She's about to chop this presumed stalker in half, and then Emily's like, it was me, I did it. I left the comment because I wanted you to stop making videos because I'm so embarrassed. Which comes to the point in the episode where they're trying to be emotionally heavy. That's the thing, like this whole show doesn't have the right stakes for me. Like what happens if Miranda doesn't achieve fame? It's just what she really wants. Okay, but like does she need to use the money to save her family from poverty? Are they gonna lose the house? How come it doesn't matter if Jim is not making any money at his job? I don't understand why she's trying to achieve fame, so it doesn't really matter to me when Emily is trying to stop her. When it kind of just seems like Emily is the only smart one who's like, you're not ready for this yet, maybe we should practice some more. But anyway, she goes into Miranda's room and apologizes and is like, you know, I'm sorry, I just get so embarrassed. And Miranda's like, well, I can just pretend that we're not related. And she's like, you would do that for me? Of course. I'm like, oh, okay. Fucking weird. So obviously that's gonna be a season-long thing, like trying to pretend that Miranda is not related to Emily, and then maybe Miranda achieves fame, and that leads to like some more conflict. That's my guess. But I'm also planning to do a video on the very last episode, which is episode 8, season 2 of the Haters Back Off show. So let me know if that's something you'd be willing to watch, because I want to see where this goes right up to the point of cancellation. Anyway, the family is starting to come together again, and Miranda is like, oh good, maybe I do have a chance at being famous. They still all hate the mom for some reason. This put upon mother trope is really depressing. Like, okay, Lois from Malcolm in the Middle, like, I don't know why I had to bring her into it. Either way, Miranda starts getting more hate comments on her YouTube video, and that frustrates her to the point where she smashes the computer on the ground. And that is the cliffhanger for, I would guess, episode 2, where they're like, how do we make these videos now that we have no computer? So as you can see, the plot lines stay rather insular. It's like all contained within this poor family's house. And I hear that the show really suffers the most when they venture too far outside of that setting. But regardless, we'll have to see how the show develops and if the haters do in fact back off. Oh, I get it. They have to do a studio recording of the song Miranda was previously singing poorly, probably just to show off the fact that Colleen Ballinger, who was on Broadway, can in fact sing in real life. Well, guess what, Netflix? I actually don't care how Colleen handles the final riff of Defying Gravity, because I'm not the shy theater kid who only ever gets cast as a scene changer. And I'm also not the musical theater adult who's always trying to prove show tunes are cool and desperate to have people harmonize the high note with them. What do they call that person again? Oh yeah, Todrick Hall. Could never be me. I pay my bills. And that's all she wrote for Haters Back Off Season 1, Episode 1, starring the problematic and currently canceled Colleen Ballinger. Don't worry, I'm sure like most of the people who get rich and famous off of YouTube, this won't be the last we see of new content from Colleen. In fact, I think everyone's kind of waiting on apologies or a video that kind of takes accountability for some of these accusations from the past, but we'll see. I will say thank you so much to Adam Macintyre for expressing this story twice. The first time Colleen sort of like ran a smear campaign against him and had her whole fandom attacking him for speaking his truth. But it wasn't until this year when he made a second video that people really started to hear and see, and other people came forward to express some of these harmful dynamics that Colleen subjected them to. So I think that's very brave. Thank you to everybody who spoke out against anybody who has more power or wealth or status than they do and was abusive of that, because I think we need to always hold those types of people accountable and try and prevent it from happening in the future. Like, YouTube needs to come out with some sort of training maybe to be like, here's how you don't talk to fans, and here's how you don't talk to children. Saying that you want to them, for example, is off the table. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below. Also, give this video a big thumbs up if you're excited to see the part 2 of this video from season 2, episode 8, the final episode. Also, thanks again to Drift for sponsoring today's video. Check out the link below. But most importantly, if you're new here, I'd love to have you click that subscribe button right down here. That way you never miss new videos from me. I upload 2 new ones every week, so turn on notifications and you'll always be the first to know when I am here to defy gravity. Made up a song there. You guys are all the greatest. Thank you so much for killing all of those fish with a toxic algae bloom. I will see you next time.